Hey guys, good to see you all again. So in this video, let's talk about some interesting stuffs in this. You can actually execute inside this class. Okay, some interesting stuffs. First of all, I'm going to talk about. Let me write a multi-line comment here so that it will be clear. So I'll put a colon there. So colon is important. Okay, that should be colon. That's a syntax of Python. Okay, again, Python has a very smooth, clean syntax when compared to other programming languages. Fine. That's why Python is favorite. Let's say Python is the favorite of many people. Fine. So I'll write in a comment here. First of all, we are going to see about magic methods. Fine. So there are something called as magic methods or special methods which are available for you inside your class, and we are going to talk about that first. After that, we're going to talk about inside magic methods you'll be having constructors. Okay, so constructor is also a magic method. I'll tell you why it is called as magic methods. Okay, magic methods are special methods. Moving on, we are going to talk about the methods, how to define methods inside the class and how to access the methods, how to execute those methods. After that, we're going to talk about attributes. Fine. And after that, we'll talk about inheritance. Okay, that's the core concept of who we have here in Python. Fine. So that's all about. Okay, that's our that's our balanced topics, and we have to discuss about that. Fine. So yeah, in this video, let's talk about the magic methods. Fine. So what do you mean by magic methods actually? So let me remove this so that it will not confuse us. We have three objects here and we have one class which is called student, and all the three objects belong to student class. Okay, let me have one more object. Okay, say FLC that is also equals to students. Okay, we have four objects now. Fine, because I love even numbers, that's why. Okay, fine. So we have four objects of the same class. Fine. So let me remove the pass keyword because I'm going to define something now. So the point here is this this step is called as listen this carefully. This statement is called as instantiation, right? Also this is also instantiation, this is also instantiation, that's fine. But here what you are basically doing is you're creating an object of the class, right? You're actually instantiating the class using the help of an object, right? So you're creating an object of the class. Whenever you create an object of the class, I repeat, whenever you create an object of the class, by default a method will be called. Okay, by default a method will be called. Okay, so please understand this. Whenever you create an object of the class, by default a method will be called, but it has some default execution. You can modify it according to your needs. Okay, that we are going to do in this video. Fine. So that method is actually called as constructor. Fine, that method is actually called a constructor. That's why we have the round braces here. The round braces means methods, right? So you are actually calling a method. Okay, you are indirectly calling a method here. Maybe some people take it as indirectly, some people directly, because of this round braces. That's the main point here, is whenever you create an object of the class, a default method will be called. Okay, that method is called as constructor. Okay, here in other languages, like Java or C++, in other languages we have constructors there also, but the constructor will have same name of the class, right? So if the class named as students, in C++ and Java the constructor's name is also student. But here in Python it is called as init method. Okay, so init method, and let's write it and show you. And if you are defining any method, you have to use a def keyword. Okay, def means define. Okay, so if you are defining any method, you have to use that keyword. Okay, only for methods, not for attributes, because attributes are nothing but variables. Okay, so not for that. So def, this is a method now. So init method. Okay, so since init method is a magic method. Okay, init method, that's your constructor, right? So init stands for initialization. So whenever you initialize the class with an, or instantiate the class with an object, that method will be defaultly called. Okay, so that's called as init method or constructor method. Why it is called a constructor? Because class is nothing but a blueprint. Fine, class is a blueprint, that's very clear. And if you want to create an object of the blueprint, say for example car, in our previous example we saw about car, right? So we saw the car blueprint of a car. So if you want to actually manufacture a car, you need some manufacturers, right? So a manufacturer actually a manufacturer actually manufactures the car using the blueprint. Fine, a manufacturer actually manufactures the car using a blueprint. The car is an object here, so blueprint is the class. So to create an object of the class, you need something called as, in the case of cars, you need something called as manufacturer, right? So only manufacturer could manufacture the car from the blueprint. Likewise here, the constructor actually constructs the object, right? Okay, I'm not confusing, I hope. So constructor is a method. When I say method, it does something, right? So constructor is a method, that constructs the object, I could say. Fine. You mean that creates the object. Fine. How your object should be. That constructor constructs the object. That's why it's called as constructor. Okay, fine. So whenever you execute the statement, like whenever you create an object of the statement, the constructor will be automatically called. That's your init method will be automatically called. Init method is also known as constructor. Fine. So since it's a magic method, so why it is called as magic method? It's because it's automatically getting executed, right? You are not actually you are calling it, but it's indirect. Okay, so whenever you create an object of the class, it is automatically executing, right? It's automatically getting executed. That's why it's called as magic method. Okay, why it is called as magic method? It is automatically getting executed. Fine, that's why it's called as magic method. And for magic methods, we have a different types of notation called as underscore notation. Okay, so you have to put underscore underscore, that's double underscore. Recall, you have to put double underscore for magic methods. To define magic methods, you have to put double underscore. It's a magic method or called as a special method. Okay, so init. Okay, init means initialization or constructor, you know that. Again, put double underscore and put a colon. That's how you can define a magic method. Again, this will be automatically called when you create an object. Okay, fine. This is called as constructor. Fine, that's it. And to define any method, you have to put round braces, right? That's it. Okay, round braces. And here, another important concept to be revealed called as self. Okay, so you have to pass self by default. Okay, whenever you define any method, not only magic methods, not only the constructor, not only the init method, not only the magic methods, whenever you define any method inside the class, you have to pass the keyword self. Okay, so what do you mean by self here? Okay, let me make sense now. What do you mean by self? It's actually pretty simple, guys. Okay, self refers to the current object. Okay, so what do if you are if you're familiar in Java or C++, not C++, Java, you have a keyword there called as this, right? So this refers to current object. Same as in Python, self refers to the current object. Wait, you couldn't understand that. Wait, I'll explain. So let's execute it. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's try to study this code. See the fifth statement. You have Sujit is equal to students, right? So you are actually instantiating the class using an object called as Sujit. Fine. Using an object called as Sujit, you are actually instantiating the class, or in other words, you are creating an object of the class which is named as Sujit. Fine. So in sixth statement, again the now this execution will go to will follow on to sixth statement, right? In sixth statement, you are actually creating another object, and this is named as John. Okay, so in another statement, this is named as Aravind, and this is again an object of students. Fine. So the each object is unique. Okay, in each statement you are having different types of objects, and each object is unique. Fine. So I told you, whenever you create an object of the class, this constructor will be automatically called, right? But this should know, this constructor should know actually which object you are using to call the method, that's called the constructor. Fine. For example, in the fifth statement, I am with help of Sujit, I am calling the constructor. In sixth statement, with the help of John, you are calling the constructor, or you can. So I told you, whenever you are creating an object, it means you are calling the constructor. In seventh statement, you are using Aravind to call the constructor. So in each statement, you are using different objects, right? So this self keyword will refer to the current object which are using. Fine. So whenever in the fifth statement, if I try to call the constructor, now self will refer to Sujit. Again, moving on, next statement, now self will refer to John. Okay, moving on, if you execute this statement, Aravind is equal to student, now self will refer to Aravind, right? So self refer to the current object, right? So either Sujit, John, Aravind, or Felsi, depending upon the execution. So whenever my interpreter, Python is interpreted language, like line will be interpreted, each line will be interpreted, okay, line by line. Fine. So in the last line, Felsi is equal to students. So if this is executed, now self will refer to Felsi, like fine. So you can create n number of objects, and one by one it will be executed. So self will be referring to each and every object, right? So that's how it works. Okay, so self will be, by default it should be appended with methods. Okay, and for static methods we have different type, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so system dot, sorry, print something, right? Print, hey, I am calling the constructor. Fine. This, let's check what happens. Okay, just inside the initialization method I have only one statement called a print statement for my understanding. So let's check what happens. Run the code. Yeah, you can see we got the hey, I'm calling the constructor 4 times. It's because we are actually creating 4 objects, and at the time of creating each object the constructor will be automatically called. I told you, so init will be automatically called, and it executes the statement. Fine. So because this print statement is given under this init block. Okay, so again, I follow the proper indentation. I hope you know about that, so follow that. Fine. So in another statement again I'm calling the method. Fine. So that's why it is executing 4 times, because I have 4 objects and I'm calling the constructor 4 times. Fine. I told you, whenever you create an object the constructor will be defaultly called. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine. Let me use self in my print statement. Okay, so that it will be making more sense. Fine. Wait, before that, can I pass name here? Can I pass my name in the students? Can I pass age or some parameters? Let's check. Can I pass Sujit, my name? Okay, because this is nothing but an object name, and this is that is not exactly, you can't print that, right? It's an object name. Okay, it's an object variable name, and you can't print any variable name. Say a equals to 5 variable, you can't print a, right? If you want to print a, you have to put it in double quotes. Okay, you can only print the value. Fine. That would not make sense. Fine. So I'll just pass the name first. After that I'll pass a number, which is my I'm talking to students here, so let's pass roll number. So 190 is my roll number, let's assume that. And after that let us okay, let's pass age. So name, roll number, age. So age will be 25, right? So let's pass that. Okay, so we are passing 3 parameters here. So at the whenever you create an object, this will be automatically passed. Okay, so we have 3 parameters: Sujit, 190 and 25. That's fine. And again, you have to get these parameters there. Okay, so this, if you are passing some parameters like some arguments, Sujit, 190 and 25, name, age and roll number, you have to get here, right? You have to get, you have to get in the function. So let's get the parameters. So I'll say name, I'll name it as I'll say roll number, roll. Okay, roll will be fine. So I'll say age. Okay, so that's happening. I'll say Sujit Kumar. So it will be not confusing with my object. Okay, my object is Sujit, so my name is Sujit Kumar. So it will be not confusing with that. Okay, again, you can give any name that's your wish. Fine. But the point here is, you can see we have 4 parameters here. Okay, say self, name, role, age. We are actually in need of 4 parameters. This function init method accepts 4 parameters: self, name, a, role, age. We are passing only 3 here. Fine, we are passing only 3. Sujit Kumar 19025, and we are intending to pass Sujit Kumar to name, and 190 to role, and 25 to age. Okay, where does self go? Okay, so self will refer to the object, say Sujit. Fine. And again, this is another interesting concept that you want to understand. Fine. So self will always refer to the object, and whenever you are you are using an object, the object will be automatically passed. Okay, that's what we mean by self. Fine. So self will automatically refer to Sujit, name will have Sujit Kumar, roll will have 190, age will have 25. Now that's how it works. Fine. Okay, let me print something. Okay, let me print return, not return, let me print I am, I'll put fine. After before that, okay, let's print that will do. Before that, we are getting actually the dummy arguments, right? It's nothing but called as formal arguments. Okay, the dummy arguments, we have to define the attributes. What kind of attributes I'm talking about here? The attributes are nothing but name, age and roll number. And remember that these are not actually the object's attribute. Okay, these are just your formal arguments, your dummy arguments, which you are actually using to store these values. Fine. So again, I'm repeating. These are actually the formal arguments which you are using to store these values, and these will not be attributed to the object. For that, you have to use your self keyword, because self refers to the object now, right? Self now refers to Sujit, so you have to use the self keyword, and you have to use the dot operator. I told you that. So, okay, dot operator, to attribute anything to an object, you have to use that dot operator. Find dot, and again I'll say name equals to name. I'll explain this in a minute. Please wait. This might confuse you. Role is equal to role. Fine. Self dot age equals to age. Fine. So in this, please look into this carefully. So you have I have written something weird, right? So say self dot name equals to name. What do you mean by this? Okay, we have name here, and we also have the same name here. So what do you mean by this? Let me tell you, this name is actually different from this name. Fine. For that, okay, let me put it in capital letters so that we will be understanding the difference, so that it will not confuse you. Fine. Super. Now name will have the object, so Sujit Kumar will have the value Sujit Kumar, role will have the value 190, age will have the value 25. These are just temporary arguments or formal arguments to store the values, actually to get the values from the main program. This is my main program, right? Main program actually starts here, and I'll tell you how to define the how to declare the main method in Python program. I'll tell you, actually it's not not compulsory, but it's a very good method. Fine, it's a very good practice to mention main here, like C++. Here it is not compulsory to put void main or something, but it's very good practice to main method here, and I'll tell you how to put main method. Fine. So this is your main method. Let's assume that. So it has Sujit 125, that will be stored in name, roll number, age. Fine. So now this will be assigned to self dot name. Okay, when I say self dot name is equal to name will have Sujit Kumar now. I mean the small n, name with small n will have Sujit Kumar now, no doubts, and this will be passed to self dot name, which is n is capitalized. Okay, so this will be passed to, or this will be assigned to self dot name. So what do you mean by self dot name again? So self refers to the current object, say student, and Sujit dot name. Okay, Sujit, self refers to current objects is Sujit, and Sujit dot name. So name is now your attribute. I mean name with capital N is your attribute. Is your actually your attribute, and these small letters, okay, these small letters are nothing but your dummy arguments or formal argument. They are just to store your value, and you have to assign that value to the original attributes. Fine. And for your understanding, let me write it here. Say name capital. See the capitalization. Role and age are nothing but are your actual attributes of the object. They define the attributes of the object, or they are called as the attributes of the objects. And you have small name, sorry, name with small n, and role. They are nothing but the dummy variables or dummy arguments to store the value, right? To store the value that is getting from the user. After getting the value, you have to assign that to your original attributes. Then only you can access that, right? So you have to assign that to your original attributes. That's clear. After that, let me print what we have got inside the method block. Okay, so inside the method block, let me print what we have got. So print, print, I assume that string formatting. So I am put a placeholder there. I assume you know that is the basics of Python. So I am dash my roll number is, again you put a placeholder there, right? And my age is, again you put a placeholder there, dot format, right? That's how you can format a string, right? So format, and you have to give the values for to be assigned to this placeholder. So we have three placeholders here, and you have to pass three values. You would have guessed, right? First of all, we are going to pass self dot name. So that's how you can use your attribute. We have assigned our name is now Sujit Kumar, that is actually assigned to self dot name, and whenever you use that, you have to use the keyword self dot name. You see the capitalized N here, and by the time you would have understood that this small letter, like small variables like name, roll number, age are just for storing a temporary values, and you have to assign that to your attributes, and you can use only your attributes. And you can have the same name here, no problem. You can have the same name, but to understand the difference, I am having a capital N. So you have to use only your attributes, not your dummy variables, and it will throw in error if you use that. Fine. Save dot role and self dot capital H. That's it. We have done. So let's check what is getting printed. And again, I'm to pass here. Let's say Peter John is full name. Okay, let me assume that full name, and he has 189 and he has age is 29. Fine. Roll number is 189. Aravind, and his name is Aravind Kumar. Let me assume, or Aravind Raj. That looks pretty much better. So 193 is your roll number, and his age is, let's say, 24. Fine. Felsi, it's a Felsia. Fine. So here her age is 167. Oh, sorry, her roll number is 167. Her age will be, let's say, 29 or 28. Okay, that's the age is missing here. So that's 28. Fine. So we are passing 3 arguments for each object. It's name, roll number, and age. So this should be passed to the init method, and whatever you have inside the init method will be automatically executed. Let's check that. Fine. Before that, yeah, you can see we got the output, but this may confuse you, so let us press clear and again I'll execute that. Clear, that's it. You clear everything, you know the command, I assume that. Okay, fine, we got the output here. Fine. So yeah, let's study at least one execution so that it will be easy for us to understand. So whenever I create Sujit, okay, let's leave Sujit for a while. Okay, whenever I create an object of students called as Felsi. Fine. So I am passing 3 arguments here. By default, I am passing 3 arguments. Say Felsia, not by default. I am intentionally passing 3 arguments. Felsia 167 and 28. Name, roll number, age. That will be stored in name, roll number, age, and self will refer to Felsia. Okay, self will refer to Felsia now because I am in 15th statement. Felsi, self will refer to Felsi. Assume that I am in 15th statement. So I am passing 3 arguments. Self will refer to Felsi, name will be Felsia, roll number will be 167, and age will be 28. See that? Okay, fine. After that, I am assigning Felsia to self.name, which is object.name. So object as an attribute, say name, name is attribute again. So object as an attribute, say name, and I am passing Felsia to that. Fine. Again, my self object, which is my Felsi, has an attribute, say role, and I am passing role to that, which is 167. Fine. And self.age, that's Felsi.age, I am passing 28 to that. Okay, so I'm that. And now self.name will have Felsia, self.role will have 167, and self.age will have 28. And if I print that, this will be printed like I am Felsia, my roll number is 167, and my age is 28. That's what I'm getting printed. Okay, that's what it's getting printed there, and that's how it works. Okay, whenever you you create an object, and if you pass 3 arguments, and this method will be automatically called. That's why it's called a magic method, a special method. That's how constructor works. I'll see you there in the next video. That's how constructor works. That's all about constructors. I hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, please do message me or use the Q&A section to interact with me. Thank you. See you there in the next video.